Oh shit, that's not me. Hello, I'm Jashikins. Hey Google, turn studio light on. Okay, that works. It's a little greenish glow today, I guess. Hey Google, turn studio light 45%. Okay, it's a nice little mess up. So let's start from the beginning and pretend this never happened. Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Tonight, I am going to be continuing to read Animorphs number 9, The Secret by K.A. Applegate. And again, this video is not intended for young children. Instead, this is intended for adults who are discovering or rediscovering the joy that is Animorphs. And before I get into the actual reading today, the United healthcare system, needs United States healthcare system does need improvements, like people who have been in a coma for over a decade still have to have family members defend themselves that they are actually still in a coma and aren't able to do anything. Like that's like I'm serious. This shit happens. Like there was this one guy who coma for over a decade, and luckily one of the family members were able to catch that his hearing was in a few days and was able to luckily avoid that disaster. So changes need to be made, but changes to the point where people who have been disabled since childhood, either mentally, physically, or both, to the point that, they never, that their whole disabled thing was solved, like getting SSI or disability was solved in childhood, so the point they never had to reaffirm that they were still disabled, now are getting, having to prove that, hey, their situation hasn't improved. Like, how about in the future we go actually improving, like changes actually improve? But, that video is not, well, this video isn't here to be my whole long rant about that. I'm just actually so pissed off right now. Like, I'm smiling, but I'm dead inside that I had to say something. Like, please make positive changes. So, let's now, after hearing about that trauma, go into nice pleasant world where that shit ain't happening. Okay, let's get started. I used my osprey morph and flew behind Tobias as he led me directly to the spot I had seen the night before. I carried the frozen grasshopper in my talons. I didn't ask Tobias any questions, and he didn't say anything. He pointed out the almost invisible entrance to the skunk's lair, and then he flew away. I knew he'd go to Jake and tell him what I was doing. And I knew that I had hurt Tobias by treating him so coldly. But, to tell you the truth, I didn't care right then. I just wanted to find those baby skunks. I don't know why, but somehow, in my mind, those baby skunks had become very important. When Tobias was out of sight, I began to morph. It wasn't a difficult morph. I kept eyes and ears and a mouth all the way through the change. Not like becoming a bug. There was the now familiar sensation of shrinking, and there was the surprise of having a huge bushy tail growing from the base of my spine. But I had morphed a squirrel before. This was pretty close. But the fur was a new experience. Oh, I'd grown fur before, but never any so long and luxurious and dramatic. This was a regular fur coat, so to speak. Mostly black, but with an impressive swipe of white down my back and into my tail. The senses of the skunk were nothing dramatic. The hearing was a little better than human, maybe. The sense of smell was good. The sight, not as good as my own human vision. And the skunk's body was not swift or strong. I shuffled and sort of waddled when I tried to walk. When I tried to run, I just ended up waddling a little more. My front paws could grasp and hold things, but they were far inferior to my own human hands. It was the skunk's mind and instincts that seemed strangest of all. I've been inside minds that were all fear or all hunger. Minds that were keyed up like they lived on adrenaline. But this mind, this package of instincts was so gentle, so unafraid. Not cocky and swaggering like a big cat, just unafraid. I was an animal no bigger than a house cat. No sharp teeth or talons. And yet, just about nothing in the forest messed with me. I felt the gentleness of absolute confidence. I could hear the mewing sounds of the skunk kits within the burrow. I waddled over to the opening and pushed my head inside. It was dark. I could make out 4 of them. Tiny, helpless little things. No longer infants, but not yet able to defend themselves or hunt like skunks. I know some people think animals don't have emotions, but those kids were happy to see me. And something in the mind of the skunk was relieved and joyful to see them. I retrieved the frozen grasshopper, now completely thawed. I crawled inside that little hole in the dirt. I curled around, and the kids nuzzled up against me. I fed them the grasshopper. I knew I only had 2 hours in Morph, but even though I had just gotten up a few hours earlier, I suddenly felt sleepy. The meal was done. The kids wouldn't starve. And I was sleepy and very, very peaceful. Even in my sleep, I knew what was happening to me. See, I had always loved animals. Always. But now I think I was falling out of love. Nature wasn't all cute and fuzzy. The strong ate the weak. The weak ate the weaker. It's what the Yerks were doing, trying to make prey out of the ultimate predator, Homo sapiens. Woomph! Hey! Hey! Are you in there, Cassie? I woke up. Where was I? It was dark. Was I in my bedroom? Was I... Oh no! Was I in the termite colony? The 4 kids still slept, curled up against me. I was in the skunk's den. What? I said. It's me, Jake. Cassie, get out of there! Now! You've been in Morph for almost 2 hours. That woke me up all the way. I shot out of the burrow and instantly began to demorph. Jake was standing there with Marco. Tobias was in the tree overhead. I have seen Jake mad before, but I'd never seen him this mad. What did you think you were doing? He yelled without even waiting for me to become human. You were 10 minutes away from spending the rest of your life as a skunk. I fell asleep, I said. My mouth wasn't formed yet. Are you out of your mind? What is the matter with you? I never noticed that Jake has this vein that kind of pops out on his forehead when he's furious. Look, I'm sorry, I mumbled as I finished demorphing. He was a long way from forgiving me. This is not why we have this ability. We are not trying to save every lost skunk in the world, Jake ranted. We are an army, a small, weak, pathetic, outnumbered army. We have exactly 6 members. Tobias has already been trapped in Morph, but he was trapped fighting the Yeerks. I can't believe you would nearly get yourself trapped in Morph over some skunks. Marco stepped in and put a hand on Jake's shoulder and kind of pulled him back. Look, it's okay, Jake. She's okay. Thanks to Tobias. Jake snapped. No thanks to her. I don't know. I didn't know what to say. I was too shocked. And to be honest, I was pretty horrified by what I'd almost done. Marco, Tobias, take a walk, okay? Jake said. Then he turned and stood with his face just inches from mine. I know you had a real bad experience last night. I've been there. I've had the nightmares. I know what's going on in your head right now. I'm fine, I muttered. Just shut up and listen to me, he said, but his anger was gone now. I care about you, Cassie. We all do, and we all need you. To win, I said. You need me to fight battles? What if I don't want to fight any more battles? What if I've had enough? I've done enough. You've done far more than enough. 100 times more than enough. But the Yeerks are still here. I shrugged. The strong eat the weak, I said. It's part of nature. Humans always win, other animals always lose. Maybe it's our turn to lose. Jake nodded. This isn't about some race called humans. It's about people we know, people we see every day. My brother, Tom, is one of them. So why don't you go tell Tom it's okay that he's a slave of the Yeerks because it's our turn to get hammered? He turned and walked away. Jake, he stopped. Jake, my dad will have the skunk mother ready to be returned here in a day or so. I'm not going to just abandon these kids. He put his hands on his hips and glared at me. You can't stay in Morph that long. And you know it. I know. But I have to make sure no predators come around. I have to get them food. And I have to morph at least some of the time so they can't imprint on their mother here in the wild. Look, I know it seems stupid to you and Marco and probably everyone, but I have to do this. I'll watch them, Tobias said. I'd forgotten how good hawk hearing is. Tobias will keep watch. We'll work something out, Jake said. We'll save the lousy skunks. After all, it's not like we have anything else to do, aside from saving the world. Thanks, Jake, I said, and sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'll be okay now. I think. He smiled, his slow smile. I'll be okay too, Cassie. As long as you're around. From a little ways off to our left, I heard Marco make a loud, gagging noise. It made me laugh. I must have been feeling better to be able to laugh. And that's the end of that chapter. Yay! Cassie nearly got stuck in Morph. I do really like one part of this chapter in particular. Basically Cassie is saying how her worldview is changing. I mean, you can't exactly be a pacifist and a warrior at the same time without you starting to notice things, without your worldview starting to change. In this case, she's like, my innocent concept of nature has suddenly gone out the window. I can't think like I did before. And then she goes into, are the Yeerks really evil for doing what they're doing? Like she points out, nature is full of, blood, it's blood red, horrible things happen, but at the end of the day, it's not really horrible because it's nature. And I believe I definitely remember in the third book in the series, Tobias basically has the same, sort of a similar conversation with Rachel going, I eat to live. Is that any different from what the Yeerks are doing? And Rachel's reply to that argument was, hey, Yeerks it's different. For her, it was different. So she was able to convince him that way. With Jake's like pointing out, yeah, you can say this is how nature is and all, but at the end of the day, the people that are getting affected is all the people we know. Like our entire way of life could just be utterly changed by the Yeerks enslaving the entire human race. So I guess that'll be the question I'll have for today's video. What do you think how do you compare the Yeerks and enslaving races to nature here on Earth, like lions eating gazelles? How do you think what the Yeerks are doing is compared to that? How do you fall along the lines? And I won't say what happens because it's a pretty big spoiler, but in number 19, this whole looking inside number 19 in the main series really gives a really great discussion where you really get to examine what the Yerks are doing. So definitely when number 19 comes up, I will address this question even further. Okay. So, comment down below with that your answer to that question, as well as anything else you notice about this chapter. And let's, have a nice nerdy conversation in the comments section. Let's, become friends or something. And if you're watching this on the YouTubes, please give this, this video a nice like. That'll be awesome. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any awesome Animorphs content. Just to let you know, the audiobooks for the first 4 Animorphs books are out now. I haven't listened to any myself, but I heard number 3 is right now the fan favorite. And also, the comic book adaptation of the first book will be coming out on October 6th. And yes, I have already pre-ordered mine because of course I did. And if you're watching this on my blog and watching on the desktop version of my blog, please choose the follow by email option so you never again miss out on any of my lovely content, my dramatic readings, my mini reviews, my long reviews, my fan fictions, random posts, awesome stuff. Please pay attention to me. And I will see you all again on Friday. Unless you also listen to my Aragon dramatic reading, in which case I will see you all on Wednesday. Bye.